Music. Everybody loves music. An order of notes stringed together in a way that can make your brain hear utter bliss. Or torture if that's the case. I mean, there are a ton of songs that people made during the first 3,000 years of our human existence, that just finding one song that simulates the sense of that sweet, sweet dose of dopamine has been quite easy among us species. Whether you're a retail worker who just goes by what the Christmas playlist has in store for you, a middle-aged mum who believes that Katy Perry will be the Valkyrie to babysit the kids whilst hearing her disrespect Survivor, or a curious teenager who listens to Twitter stans arguing what their favourite Imagine Dragon album is, we'll all have a taste of a specific genre for what our ears can enjoy. But there are some of us who are still looking for more. As I just said, if you weren't listening, each person has their own genre or two that suits them, whether that's rock, reggae, indie alternative, rap, or simply just pop, if you're a normie. However, there are some human beings who just love to explore every genre of music and find out what gems they can find, and one of those humans seems to be moi. So after I became bored of listening to So Am I by Ava Max over and over again, I decided to take a massive step out of my comfort zone and listen to 14 different albums throughout the year, so like that I felt like I had variety in my life. And these are the albums I'll be taking a look at today. In case you don't know the albums of what I'm talking about, because let's be honest, if you did, you'd probably be a psychic. The albums I listened to are Call Me If You Get Lost by Tyler the Creator, Daddy's Home by St. Vincent, In Utero by Nirvana, Drop Top Wop by Gucci Mane, The Turning Wheel by Spelling, After Hours by The Weeknd, Toxicity by System of a Down, Forever Is a Mighty Long Time by Big Crit, Glow On by Turnstile, Happier Than Ever by Billie Eilish, Power Up by AC/DC, An Evening with Silk Sonic by Silk Sonic, Trench by 21 Pilots, and Sleep Society by While She Sleeps. Now as you can tell, the time consistency on this thing is a load of bollocks. But that's the joy of it. Listening to so much music from different times and balancing it out with normal times is like being a kid in a sweet shop and picking which ear candy they prefer, and the candy still being sweet and edible even if it's 14 years old. The list I made and the albums I listened to was to just help people discover new music easier and help out with people who just missed out on music during the year. Also, I made it because I just wanted to stand out from the crowd, because where I'm from, if you don't listen to UK drill and don't own at least 3 Pop Smoke albums, then you're kinda considered a bum. And this ranking is entirely my opinion, and will be graded out of 10 at the end of my review of them. So don't get your torches and pitchforks out if I put your favourite album on the very, very bottom of this list, since music is a very subjective taste, of course. So if you have a completely different opinion to me, or disagree with anything controversial I say, then that is fantastic, since all opinions are valid at the end. Well, honestly, that phrase is completely useless at this point, because I'm going to be talking really positive about all of these albums, except for one, and I would recommend all of them for you to listen to, except for one, and will promise you'll have a good time listening to at least one of them, except for one. So let's shut up, get your tea, put on a blanket, get your Stromboli out. Yes, I copied Donkey, sorry. And let's get our ranked. Also, I copied Nathaniel Bandy that, sorry. Number 14. So after listening to what I just said, you may be wondering what is the Except One album is that I was talking about in my intro. And if you got the context correctly, then yes. Sadly, there is a dumpster fire in this treasure chest. But which one is it? Oh boy, this is going to be an exciting one. Is it this one? This one? This one? Or maybe even this one? No, everybody. The dumpster fire of an album I listened to this year was After Hours. It was After Hours. The worst and terrible album I listened to this year was After Hours. Boy, when this album first came out, everybody was smothering all over it like it was a newborn child. Critics were loving it, it sold loads of copies, and the radios were burning blinding lights in our brains like it was an obligatory government command. This seems like a good sign to me, that this was going to be a great time and a safe house if I come across any bad albums in my journey. I mean, Heartless Beat the Hills is my favourite Weeknd song, and friends were calling this record a perfect blend between modern lo-fi, trap, and even 80s music. So surely this would be one of the best albums I've heard in a very long time. Actually no, this is one of the worst things The Weeknd has ever put together, and it's more repetitive than a freaking Ubisoft experience. Okay, maybe that was a bit too harsh on your poor little ears, but let me explain. When I first went into this album, the first song wasn't so bad. The first song, Alone Again, was this moody, bassy, atmospheric song with a nice melody and singing performance from good old Saturday and Sunday. You can tell he's putting a lot of emotion in this song, and is trying to tell an opening to a story on this album and this song. Sure, it's a bit, long, but the beat switch is great. The pounding melody and the pounding atmosphere just gives off this sad, lonely vibe as this introduction to a Weeknd album. But the moment the first song finishes, the entire album just goes straight downhill. The second song, Too Late, sounds like pure ad music. The third song, Hardest to Love, is okay I guess, it just sounds like the first song but with a clearer melody. The fourth song, Scared to Live, is a really boring basic R&B track that literally could just be replaced with any song off of his older projects, and you wouldn't even tell. Also, it kind of resembles the first song a little bit. Seems to be a running theme here. Oh, and the song Snow Child? That song sucks! It's easily the worst song he's ever made, and everybody won't shut up about how much they love it. Even Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez. In this song, the beat sounds like it's literally ripped right out of Drake's Scorpion, which means the melody is so bland and dry it puts you to sleep, and the combination with basic as hell hi-hats and dried up 808s, and it's the most uninteresting Drake rip-off production he's ever made. Have fun, kids! Oh, and calling this song a Drake rip-off isn't an understatement, because The Weeknd literally raps in the same flow as Drake throughout the entire song. I'm not even kidding. He does his own terrible impression of Drake throughout the entire duration of the song, which is ironic because later that pleasant year of 2020, Drake did a terrible impression of him on Grease, and it is just so agonizing. Now as you see, I think I can handle a short Drake rip-off song for a little bit. But for 5 whole minutes! My attention span just simply cannot be that advanced to sit through this. Who thought this was a good idea? This is just too much. I'm just gonna end my review of the song. This is just a terrible song, which is a shame because the video is really good. Okay, I'll get on with the album now. Sheesh. The next song is just a basic boring trap song. I just keep forgetting, and at that point, when Heartless just came on, I just stopped the album immediately. Because just the thought of me hating Heartless because it sounds exactly the same as the rest of this stupid album makes me want to take this album and just throw it on The Weeknd's head that he calls a brick. Alright, never mind, I'll shut up. No, that was a terrible didn't go well, but... Eventually I listened to the rest of the album and it's just not good. Look, let me explain to all of you why the reason I hate this album so damn much. All, and I mean all, of the songs, except for the 380 songs on here, out of this 14 song track list, all sound the same and are structured in the exact same way as the first song. Variety in this album is a joke. There is nothing to unpack here unless it's the story. I hear friends all over saying, "Oh, this album is so 80s like." I'm like, bro, did we listen to the same album? There's only 3 80s songs on here. Blinding Lights, In Your Eyes and Save Your Tears, and they're just a play to oblivion on the radio, which makes this project 80s like just completely redundant. You can all disagree with me if you want and try to change my opinion, but I tried desperately going into this album so many times, and honestly it's just draining me. If you love this album and think it's up there with some of the best modern music, then all power to you. You have a good opinion. Your opinion is valid because I just cannot stand this. I'm gonna give After Hours a 3.5 out of 10. Because it isn't as other bad as things I listened to in the past, but it's still trash in my eyes. And I'll probably dive deeper in like a full-on After Hours review if I hit like 10 million or 1 million subscribers or something. But After Hours, just after what I've heard of this album, I don't think that's gonna come in a long time. Now after just pissing the entire world off with what I just said, just don't worry because every album coming up next are 7 out of 10s and up, and so the remaining 13 albums are all good. Also, little editor's note. The Weeknd's new album Dawn FM has just released now as the making as the video. And I think maybe it's going to be a redemption. It's probably going to be a redemption project from After Hours. Maybe the Weeknd Room can redeem himself. But judging by the album cover art, the moment I saw it, I laughed my ass off. Because honestly, what the hell did the Weeknd expect me to do?